In this video, I'm going to show you how you can install or upgrade a software package called R. Now, on my website, and I'll have this in the link below if you found this on YouTube, I have a brief description of what R is, and I'm not going to read all that, but I will tell you a little bit that R is a free software environment for statistical computing and graphics. Now, with R, if you haven't installed, you can do a lot of data manipulation, visualization, and statistic analysis. It's almost like a programming software for statistical purposes and mathematical equations. Now, if you've already got R installed, and you can install it by just opening up your browser and installing it like any installation that you find across the internet. The only problem is by using the Ubuntu's repositories, you will install an older package. You know, if you're using Ubuntu, especially the stable version, it really sometimes holds you back on software to make sure that you're using the most available or stable version. But if you'd like the newer version, which is R version 3.5.2, as you can see in the top image, that's the new version out, and I installed this on another computer, which I installed the regular repositories to get the default installation, which is 3.4.4. Now, if you want to know what version you have on your system, there's two ways you can do that. You can go and type in your terminal R space dash dash version and press the enter or return key on your keyboard, and it will display your version. In this case, I got version 3.4.4, or actually you can go up here in accessories and find your R, click on R, and it should come up and show you that it's the same. But I'm not going to execute R because it takes a little while to load. And as you can see here, we have this on our system. Now, in this particular video, since I do have it show that I do have an older version, I'm going to go first. I need to uninstall R. Since I do have my terminal already up, I have it minimized. All I simply do is it says open your terminal. Now it says type the following command: sudo apt purge, which it means to remove it from your system, rbase, R recommended, and R cran dash with the apostrophe, or the asterisk, I'm sorry. And that asterisk just substitutes for anything that would be added to all your add-ons that are R-cran- for your old add-ons. You come up here, place that in your terminal, press the enter key or the return key, and I have an enter key on my keyboard, so I'm just going to continue calling it enter throughout the video. Press the enter key, type in my password, and it'll take a little bit of time to go through and remove everything. And some things it says it's not installed because there were some packages I already had removed. Now it says, do you want to continue? I press the Y and press the enter key, and it's going to go through and purge, which is basically take and remove my R that I had previously installed on my system. And I already went through and deleted some stuff, so some things was missing for time's sake, so it would uninstall a little quicker. But you still do the same process to uninstall your R. So if I were to completely, now R is gone. So if I came back up here and I use that R version, it shouldn't show me that I have any version now because I've purged it by cleaning it off my system. So if you have an older version of R, you can take it out. Well, it still shows it has some lingering files, but those will be taken care of when I do my upgrade. Now, since we uninstalled R, and all of these illustrations is if you wanted to go to my website and follow it step by step on uninstalling and installing R on your system. Now, I do have, before I start to show how to install it, I do have how to show the version of Ubuntu you're using. Now, I'm using Ubuntu Mate 18.04.1, the long-term support. And let me scroll down before I go any further. The reason that's important is you're going to be adding repositories according to the version of Ubuntu that you're using. Like if you're using Ubuntu 18.10, and I don't recommend to install it on this. You can, and it will work. It's just that this is not the long-term support. This is the long-term support, this is the long-term support, and this is a long-term support. I recommend installing on a long-term support. I don't really recommend on 14.04. And if you got 16.04 and it's working, that's great. But I highly recommend, if you can, to upgrade to 18.04.1 Bionic, because it's supported for the next 5 years, or at least the next 4 years, and True Ubuntu is supported for 10 years, 9 years left on the support. Now, before I can start installing that, let me show you how you can tell your version. You simply copy the lsb_release space -a, put it into your terminal, and let me clear the terminal, get rid of some clutter. I'm going to paste this in my terminal, press the enter key, and it shows you here I'm using Ubuntu. It's Ubuntu Mate 18.04.1 long-term support, and the code name is Bionic. If I scroll down here, this shows you that Ubuntu 18.04.1 long-term support, and my code name is Bionic. That's how I match it up. So now, where it says to add the repository information, it says to copy the first 2 lines. Now I'm going to come up here, and it says copy the first 2 lines. I just simply mean to copy them one at a time. So I'm coming up here, I'm copying where it says sudo apt-get repository, and notice here where it's got -ubuntu. Each of these has -ubuntu, but the important part is for matching it up is this is to match up my Bionic code name, which is the apply the repository for 18.04.1. As you can see, this one says Cosmic, this one says Zenile, and this one says Trusty. But this is the one for my system. So I right-click, copy, and I paste it into my terminal, and I press the enter key. Now, sometimes it may, if you wait longer, I've already hit the sudo recently, so it didn't ask me for my password, and it may come up with an error message initially when you're doing that. And the reason it may come up with an error message is because it hasn't entered the key yet. So you simply copy the second line, and you enter the key, and you paste it in here, and you press the enter key, and it will go and install that key to that repository. Alright, and now you want to update your repository. Simply copy, and I'm missing my S. I'm just going to last try, and if I don't get the S, I'll type it in there myself. Right click, copy, and paste this into your terminal, and press the enter key, and it's going to update your repositories. Now we're down to the point where it says how to install repository information. This shows you step by step what we just did up here. So it says to enter the top 2, and then you're going to update your repositories just as we just did. And then we press the enter key, and we wait for them to enter, update your repository. And then before I go any further, it says how to install the newest version, which is R 3.5.2. Again, you open your terminal, and ours is already open. I'm going to highlight. Now I have a hard time getting S's for some reason. I'm going to highlight all of this line here where I'm going to install RBase core, and all this right here to the end. And I'm going to paste it into my terminal. I'm going to press the enter key, and it's going to go through and start installing R. Now if you follow the instructions, that's the copying. It says to press the enter key, and then when it asks you, do you want to continue? Here's that question, do you want to continue? I'm going to press Y and press the enter key. So on my website, it will step you step by step through the entire process. And while it's scrolling down, it will actually go through and complete the process when it finishes. So it shouldn't take long. Now, you're basically done with installing R, but the strength of R is adding additional packages or binaries. So let me show you when it finishes how to add additional packages. Now here is another repository that allows you to add packages. As you know, if you read at the top, you can get them from CRAN or other websites. Now here's one that's a trusted website that you can install additional packages. So I'll be installing these packages here after R gets installed, and it's almost installed. It's downloading all those files that we told it to install, and it goes through the installation process. So now it's finished. So I'm going to add the repository, and I just simply copied that up here, and I'm pasting it into my terminal. I'm going to minimize this for a minute so you're not looking at 2 terminals on the screen at once. Press the enter key, and it's asking me to press my enter key again. And Now I'm going to go through and update the repository one more time since it's added a new repository. So since I added that, I press the enter. Now I'm going to go through and say sudo apt-get update. And that's to update the new repository that I've just added. So when it finishes this, I'm going to say to update the repositories to add the new one that we just added. Press the enter key. And while it's going to update the repositories, I'm going to go and copy all of these add-ons that we will be adding to our R. So I'm going to minimize so I won't have all of these terminals from my web page competing with the terminal on my screen. All right, now we're ready, since it's updated, to paste all of these in there. And once you do, it starts the installation process. Now, it will download 263 megabytes or take that much space when it's finished. It asks, do you want to continue? You press the Y key. If you don't have room, you don't have to install all of these. This just improves or it adds more to R by increasing its power. Now I'm going to press Y just to show you how to add additional add additional packages to your R package. Now it's going through and downloading each of those individually, and it will take a while since it is a lot of files that we are installing. But I do have some pretty high-speed internet, but as you can see, it's not getting it from wherever the repository is at. It's not downloading pretty fast from the repository. So even if you have a high-speed internet connection, you're limited with how fast it is on the other end. But it will install. It shows you the percentage. We're now at 34%, 35%, and counting. And while it's downloading and then start to install those, I'll have the next part on my website ready so that we don't have to wait for that. And you'll see a little progress bar growing. As you can see that it's installing here. Now that's while it was updating the packages. When it finishes, I'm going to show you how you can install the spatial data analysis. And the reason I'm doing that is if you come across some websites that show you how to add that repository, they actually show you when you're adding all of these, there's one file that they actually have at the front of that has trouble installing. And I'm going to show you how to fix that if you're trying to install these. So that's why I'm adding it to this video. Let me minimize. We're now at 67%. We're at 71%. And while we're waiting, I'm going to go ahead and have this on the clipboard. It's for the repositories for where we're going to get our spatial data analysis files that we'll be adding into the R package. We're at 87%. We're almost done. Remember, that was a huge file. It was 260 some megabytes of information. We're now at 92%. And all I've did here is I still have my terminal open, and I'm just simply copied that to add the new PPA. I'm going to press the enter key or the return key, then I press enter again when it prompts me to. So now it's going through and install all of those files that we downloaded, and it shouldn't take as long to install them as it did to download them. Even though it's only at 10%, it shouldn't take as long to go across the bottom. Now, as it's installing, if you're looking for R, we've installed R earlier. You come up here and you look and think, well, where's R at? Where in the world is R? And you can see it's under graphics. I think I said earlier under accessories, but it's here under graphics. To me, I like putting R into the programming section. So after I finish this next section by showing you how to install the spatial additions or add-ons, I'm going to show you how you can take and install the R icon into the program and remove it from graphics. I won't delete it from it. I'll just hide the icon so that in the future as it gets updates, it won't try to add the icon back to this category as well as the programming category. So there's no need to have it redundant or in two places within your menu. So I'll show you before I end the video how you can place the icon in the programming menu. And we're now at 55% and growing. And it's starting to speed up after it gets past this point. 63%. Not far to go. We're now at 77%, 80%, 90%, okay, it's finished, it's finalizing, and then it'll take you back to your original prompt. All right, now we're back to our original prompt. Remember, we highlighted this, but once more time, put this on the clipboard, right-click, copy. I'm going to add this to my repository. Press the Enter key. Now it's going to ask me to press the Enter key again. Now, while it's doing that, anytime you're adding something to the repository, you'll have to update your repository. Now, as the file's updating or installing, now we're going to update our repository. Now, while it's updating, I'm going to go to the next step where it says type the following commands, and we're going to enter all of those. And it shouldn't take as long to download because that's not as many. But then once it finishes, there's this one file that if you try to install that the way we did up here, it's going to come up with some sort of error message. So I'm going to show you how you can take and add that. So I'm going to go ahead and have all of these on the clipboard. So when it finishes, we can add these to them. Minimize my... Now it says there's updates available. We'll get those in a moment. Hit the install, and all I simply did was I copied sudo apt install each of those files that will install those spatial files, add-ons to your R. Press the Enter key. Press the Y. Now, I'm not going to go and download that file while it's installing these, where it's downloading them. But once it starts the installation process, I will then, actually it's installing it here. While that's installing, I'm going to go ahead and download this file. And I have it where you can click on it, or I have a link right here that you can copy and paste in your browser. But I'm going to go ahead and click this link and let it download. As you can see, it's downloading here. And if for some reason, if you're using Ubuntu and you click on the file and it doesn't bring up your package manager where you install it, then I do have where you can say sudo apt install gdebi-core or just gdebi, and it will install that on your system where you can just double click the file and install it on your computer. So you say show in the folder, it'll take you into your downloads folder, and it's the most current one, which is here. Now I'm going to minimize that. We'll come back to that in a moment when we're finished with installing those files within our terminal. Now we are finished. So I'm going to leave this open for a moment because we'll check in a moment the version we have. Let me double click the file that we just downloaded, and I'll minimize this. And you're going to see that it's going to have a lot of dependencies that it's needing. To install this particular package, it requires 54 additional packages, and I'm not going to click the details. But you don't have to go out and look for all 54 of those. When I click the Install Package button, it will go out across the internet, find all the packages it needs, and install those, and then it will actually install this particular file. So let me say install the package. It will prompt me for my password. Then I press the Authenticate button, and it's going to go and start installing each of those additional packages or dependencies that it was needing in order to install the particular file itself. So if you were to come across the internet and look for these files, most of the websites that I saw, it had trouble with this particular file. So I went and found out how to install that without coming up with that error message, and this is the way to do it. If you download that file individually and install it using the gdebi package installer, it will install it on your system and it will work fine. Now it's going through and installing all those 54 dependencies, so it will take some time. They're not very large, so when I say take some time, it's not going to take 20 or 30 minutes. It just take a few minutes. And then after it installs all the dependencies, it will then actually go install the file that we're trying to install from my website. So bear with me as that particular file installs. And as you can see, this is the steps. We downloaded it, we double clicked it, and now on the computer that I was on, an older computer, it said there was 82 packages. On this one, there's only like 54 packages. So I'm glad it differs. When you start to install it, depending upon what files that are on your system, you might have already been using something similar to it, or you might already had R installed that use some of the packages and you already have them on your system. So it may be in that situation to where you don't have the same number, or you might not have as many. So as you can see here, it's downloading the additional packages, and then you're not going to close this down. When it gets through here, it might look like it's finished, but you're going to wait till it says same version is already installed, until where you see the reinstall and remove package on the package installer or the packaging manager. Here, now it says reinstall or remove package. We don't want to reinstall or remove it. So this is now installed. I can close out my dialog box or my installer box. Now we're ready to check my version. So to do that, remember, you can simply copy and paste, and it is case sensitive with a capital R. So I bring back up my terminal. I put this in my terminal, R space dash dash version, and I press the key. And as you can see here, I'm going to highlight it. It's version 3.5.2. Now, as you saw earlier, that it did say there were some upgrades available for it. So if I do sudo apt upgrade, it will look for the packages that we've installed so far, and it will upgrade some. So I hit yes, press the enter key, and it's going to go out and find some of the newer packages. For some of the, like these are some of the project data files that we've installed. It's found now some newer files, and it's going to go through and install those. And it shouldn't take as long because it's not installing the whole package from the beginning. And we're finished. Now we have R installed on the computer. The only thing about that is like I showed you earlier, it's in the graphics menu. If you later want to install like R Commander and R Studio, you might, with R Studio putting itself in programming folder, you might want to install the R in that particular or the same folder too. So I show you step by steps on how to add that to your folder, your programming folder. So you're going to take it and remove it from the graphics folder, or hide it in the graphics folder and place it in your programming folder. To do that, you go to System menu, Preferences, and you may not have the same Ubuntu that I have, but it's something similar where you're going to go and edit your main menu. Now, I'm going to go in Graphics, and I'm going to go and untick R. By unticking that or unchecking it, just hides it in the menu. So when I hit close, it's not going up here in my graphics. Now, before I click close, I'm going to add it to my main menu. So to add it to my main menu, I'm going to hit a new item, and my new item or create launcher dialog box appears. When it does, I just simply copy and paste the contents on my website, and I place it in my launcher. Since they're both R's, I put them in here. Now the type up here is not just an application. If you leave an application, it will not run. It has to be an application that normally runs in your terminal. So you drop down the menu and you change it to application in terminal. And then for the comment, you don't have to put a comment, but this is for someone that may later go through here. If you forget, it went ahead and added that. I put it on my clipboard and it placed it here. Now, for your icon, I do have the location. No, that was I was looking at the image on my website. Here we go. Paste it in here. Now I do have the location, which is user share icons high color 48 and apps. So I go and click the little icon image. Now if I'm going to drop it down where it matches. I got user, share, icons, high color. Now it's on scalable. I'm going to go back and I'm going to choose the 48 by 48. Then I'm going to choose the folder apps. And then I'm going to choose the R logo. So I simply scroll down in alphabetical order. And it should have placed, when I installed it, it should have placed the R logo icon. I click the open. There's my logo or icon. It's application and terminal. The name of it's R. The command is R. And I put my comment. I hit OK. Now if I go into my graphics menu, and I'm going to minimize my browser. Go ahead and hit close here. If I go up here and look under graphics, R is now hidden because I've unchecked it. If I look in program, R is now in my program folder. This way I keep it organized. Like I said earlier, if you later install R Commander or R Studio will add R Studio icon in programming. So by placing R in the same folder keeps them organized. Now if I click on R, it takes a moment and now it's loaded. It shows you that you have R version 3.5.2. So you're now ready to get started with R. Now, I do have something down here at the bottom before I close the video. I do show you, it says now would be a good time to update your R packages. So if you just simply type this into it, and I'm going to pull this down where I can see it. I'm going to say update. I'm going to say dot packages. Open parenthesis. Then I type in ask equals, then I type case sensitive false, comma, space, check, and then built, capital B, U-I-L-T, space, equals, capital true, and close parenthesis. And then I press the return key or the enter key, and it's going to go through and update my packages. And it's asking, would you like to use your personal library? And I'm going to hit the Y key, press the enter key, and it says install the packages. So let me minimize my browser so we're not looking at two R's, one in the background. So it says install the packages into that. You hit yes, press the enter key. Now it's going through and it's going to update your R packages. And when it finishes that, you'll now have the newest version of R. It's updated and ready for you to use it. So let it go through and finish its little update process. And when it finishes, it will show you where the updates were placed. It will give you a little path. It's almost done. Now here, it says installation of R had non-zero exit status. And I don't think it's quite finished just yet. I think it's got a few more things to do. Oh no, it showed me. It showed them where it installed right here at. So it has a little message here that I didn't remember seeing in my other one. But this is now a usable version of R. So hopefully, I know this video has been long and I apologize for the length of it. But if you were trying to update your R in Linux and was having a hard time understanding the web pages that you come across on the internet, hopefully this will help you install R on your system or update R on your Linux system. Have a great day.